And good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good whatever it is, wherever you are when you watch this. Thanks for joining us. And I want to just kind of preface this. We have some unbelievably spiritually connected, amazing people on here today, and we're going to do an upbeat, uplifting broadcast and bring everybody closer to who they really are. So, and as you see, I'm sitting on a beach. Not really, it's a green screen, but I choose to believe I'm on a beach. So, Glenn Morshower, Christopher Roush, Christy Jones, and John Considine. Sherry Gideons is already here, my dear friend Sherry Gideon. So I want to welcome everybody, and let's Glenn, this was kind of your idea.
It was. It's Sunday, and Sunday typically is a day set aside. Certainly within Christianity, it is. And I was raised as a Baptist Jew, so I have the best of both worlds. So I spent the it's the truth. I actually refer to myself as a Babishtarian, which means I was born Baptist, raised Jewish, and married a Presbyterian. Um, but I Sunday was always called the day of worship growing up until my stepfather entered my life, and he informed me that two things: that I was now Jewish and was no longer Baptist, and that Saturday was the new day called the Sabbath. And so from that, when I lost my Sunday and it got turned into Saturday, I thought, well, the same could be held true for any day of the week. And I decided that no day was any more sacred than any other. And I believe that ever since. But because so often people do set aside a day to designate it as a day of spirituality, I thought, I have such a wonderful reservoir of relationship capital that I can assemble a team very quickly. And I listened to John's services on Sunday morning out of Port Huron, Michigan. And Christy and I met just a few months ago, and she's a holistic mindfulness coach and holistic health and mindfulness. And I just adored the privilege, because that's what it was, of meeting her. And I'm in love with you, and I'm in love with Chris. And I thought, you guys are spirit-based people who really get your connection with a source that feeds us all commonly. You really get the spirit of unity versus separation. And I wanted to offer that as our theme today. I want to tell you, we are not talking about the virus today, but rather our response to it.
What virus?
Right, exactly. This is about utilizing and putting into play and implementing the spiritual tools that you have so that you can actually experience a trend upward while things are trending downward. And it is available.
Hey, John, is there a way you could pull your laptop or your camera down? There you go, so we can see you.
There you go. A little bit up.
Little bit up.
Oh.
There you are.
You mean take the middle road. Okay.
We have you on now. Awesome.
So how well we fare at this will be really about how this is kind of a test to what it is we're made of and what are our coping skills. What can we do during this period to have it be our best available response, and not reaction, but rather response? That's what today is devoted to.
Well, I think that it would be incredible. And John, you are the, I don't know. So introduce yourself. How about that? So I don't have to.
Okay. I am a lot of things in life. I'm a human being who discovered my spirituality about 1980 when I did some higher consciousness work called EST. I was a trial attorney. I was a member of the Florida House of Representatives. I was a campaign manager for political candidates of consciousness. At some point, I received the I guess the call is the way I know that Baptists would say it, and a lot of religions would say got a call to go into this full time, because making a difference in people's lives is what I really get a lot of juice out of. I was making a bunch of money, and that's nice too, and I felt the need to make a contribution, and you all know about that. I know that you know what that's like, to actually make a difference in people's lives, like Glenn makes all the time, and I get the opportunity to do that as well. And so I became an ordained Unity minister. You've heard of Unity Village or Silent Unity, the prayer line. I used to work at Silent Unity, the prayer line, 1-800-NOW-PRAY. I always keep that around and tell people 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365. You can call there if you're in panic, in fear. You can call there, and for like a non-denominational, very spiritual prayer. I have been very blessed. I've done theater work. Was the business manager of a theater in West Palm Beach for some time. I have a 13-year-old daughter here in suburban Detroit, and so I'm living here to be with her. And I was very blessed that this very conscious group of very giving and loving people in Port Huron, Michigan, asked me to be their spiritual director, and that's what I'm doing here now, and and weathering this storm with you. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, thank you for being here. Thank you,
Thank you, John.
I've seen
honored.
you before, Chris, working with Glenn, and it's so great to meet you.
Great to meet you too, man. Thank you.
And I am also a mindfulness teacher. I teach mindfulness meditation. I'm having a mindfulness meditation, a heart-centered meditation, tomorrow on Zoom. If I can figure out how Zoom works, I'm not highly technical, but
you and Glenn both.
No, I'm so honored to be with you guys.
Listen, I am also losing my Zoom virginity tomorrow as well. Thankfully, I have had Ken Walls, tutor extraordinaire in the upper left-hand corner, who's helped me through so that I don't come across as the virgin that I am first thing in the morning, because my classes for the next unknown amount of time will be done courtesy of Zoom. So I'm excited. I'm glad to have you here, John.
We broke Glenn in last night. He's going to do just fine. Christy, welcome.
Thank you for having me join you today.
It's an honor.
I'm excited to meet you all. And Chris,
Tell
I
us
think
our
I
audience.
met you a few months ago as well.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Yes.
yeah, definitely.
I met you then too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good to see you.
Wow.
Yeah,
Very
good to
cool.
see you too.
So tell our audience about your life, Christy, and what you're feeling about what's going on right now, and how we can best stay centered through all of the chaos.
Yeah. So a little bit about myself, as I'm a holistic health and mindfulness coach. And I really got started with that because my daughter, when she was 11 years old, was really sick with digestive issues, and found out that our gut and our brain are connected. So 12 years ago, there was not much information about the gut-brain connection. And luckily, through the experience with her, started uncovering how connected our microbiome and our brain are. And that really fascinated me. So I realized if my daughter was having these challenges, what was going on for other kids? And so I turned my attention to children's health and the school district in my local community. And so now what I'm able to do so gratefully is I get to work with all the elementary kids in my school district, teaching them ways to keep their body healthy and strong, read food labels, love vegetables. And one of the most important things I think I get to teach are mindfulness techniques. And so I get to work with a diverse group of people, starting with 5-year-olds to people in their 80s, and teach them how to listen to their body, how to listen to that wisdom inside. And Glenn, that's one of the things that I loved so much about meeting you, is that you talk about the whisper and listening inside. And that's something that I think is foundational right now, that we turn our attention inside, not being so much focused outside, but how can we listen to what our body's telling us and be more mindful and present inside.
Can you give us some specific examples of that, Christy? Can you actually teach our audience a couple of things that they could be doing right now to help?
I can. And so, are you guys okay with moving a little bit?
We need to stay
We
still
need to
because we're
sit,
on camera.
but people watching might be able to. I don't know
Yes.
if I can stand up. Let me see if I can stand up, because I teach people through movement a lot. I don't know. My son set me up because I didn't have a headset here, but let me see if I can teach you guys a few things. We can do it sitting down if we need to. But actually, let me go before that. Before we even stand up, one of the things that I want to get across when we're talking about mindfulness, and once again, if I talk too much, you let me know, because I love talking and sharing. And in anything I say, take what's useful. If something's not useful, you don't have to take the words that I say, but I offer this as something really from my heart that I think is helpful, and take what's useful for you. If it's not, let it go. Okay. So I think the first understanding we really need to have in this time is an understanding of mindfulness. And the understanding of mindfulness that I use might be a little bit different than what we hear. But when we talk about mindfulness, and my training really comes from working with kids, and how do you explain mindfulness to kids? And so we talk about, I'll ask them, have you heard that word? And they'll say, they don't know what mindfulness is, but I'll say it's being in the present moment.
So I think the first
So how do we know what it means to be in the present moment? What does that feel like? And so when we think about being in the present moment, the definition that I've come up that best helps kids and adults understand that is that our mind and our body are in the same location. Have you ever had the experience that your body's in a location and your mind is somewhere else?
Oh yeah.
I think you might be speaking to the entire audience right now.
All the time.
Yeah.
So we're really good at going to the past or going to the future. And I think right now, a lot of people are living in the future. They're
Yep.
living in fear of what could be. And the more we can train ourselves to bring ourselves back here, back to this present moment, is really, really powerful. And so it's funny even talking to kids. If I can share this, I'll say, are you ever sitting in the classroom and your body's here? Where's your mind? And they'll laugh. It's not here. Right? Like they get it, when I'm talking to 8-year-olds, it's so cool that 8-year-olds can get this concept of being present or not. And so for us, my invitation is we need to practice a way to bring our mind and body into the same location right now together. And one of the easiest ways that we can do that, well, would you agree with that? Would you like to know how to do that?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
indeed.
So my ABB coach.
This will help, right? I've got lots of things for you. But one of the easiest ways that we can do that is focusing on our breath. So what I teach all the kids that I work with and adults starting at 4 is put one hand on your heart. So if you can stand up, stand up. If you want to stay seated, stay seated. And then one hand on your abdomen. So I'm going to move my chair. So one hand on your abdomen. And the reason we do this is because we have 3 brains. We have our brain in our head. That's our thinking brain. They've proven that we have neurons around our heart, that we have a heart brain, right, John?
Yep.
And then we also have neurons in our gut. So we have our gut brain. So when you put your hands here and you breathe, you're connecting all 3 brains.
Oh,
So
wow.
this is something that you can do anywhere. And if we can train, I have to say, we've got to help our kids be relaxed in this time. Working with kids, they are feeding off of the fear of the adults around them. And so as adults, as we can do this and we can help our children feel peaceful, that's going to be really important for their immune systems and their overall just mental, emotional, physical health. So back here, putting your hands here, you want to then, if you want to close your eyes or keep your eyes open, breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. So let's just take 5 breaths together, keeping your hands here. Once again, close your eyes if you want to. Leave your eyes open if you want to, whatever's comfortable for you. The key is you want to breathe all the way down to your abdomen. You want to belly breathe because when you breathe down to your abdomen, you're getting blood flow to your prefrontal cortex and you're turning off the fight flight mode and you're turning on the rest and digest mode. So hands here. Let's go ahead and take our 5 breaths. Once again, close your eyes if you want to. Go ahead and breathe in and out. And in and out. And in and out. And in and out. Let's do one more. And now check in with yourself and just notice, how do you feel after taking those few breaths? Anybody want to comment?
Calmer. I definitely needed that. So thank you. Yes, I do a lot of deep breathing and have definitely found, out of all the different modalities of quieting my mind down and quieting myself down, doing that. I do a variation of that. I think I do 4, 7, 8, bring it in for 4, hold it for 7, and exhale for 8, doing the same thing. But yeah, tremendous. And thank you for that, because I needed to do that.
Yeah. And the more we can pause and stop throughout our day, put your hands here and breathe. Now put your hands in a different position and see if it feels weird.
Yeah.
Does that feel weird?
Backwards.
Right. And some people are okay with this, but we tend to. And if you think about it, it's almost like you're giving yourself a hug, right? We're also crossing left, right. So we're getting the left and the right side of the brain in this too. And this breathing comes from a man named Dr. Daniel Siegel. Who's familiar with Dr. Siegel? Are you, any of you familiar with him? Fabulous therapist. Can I give him a little plug?
Sure.
He has a book, in case there's any parents out there. He has a book called The Yes Brain. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, nice.
This book is, so he works out of UCLA, and he's just a huge, he's really
Pop
pushing.
it up there again.
Oh,
Pop
yeah.
it up there again.
The
There
Yes
you
Brain
go.
by Dr. Daniel Siegel and Tina Bryson. So his work's becoming very accepted in schools. He's bringing the mind-body connection into therapy. And so this breathing comes from him. And he says, if you can teach a child to breathe like this when they're calm. And so it's part of their daily routine. They get up in the morning, they take 5 or 10 breaths. They're doing story time. After you finish your story time, you take a few breaths. But you do this throughout the day. And then before you go to bed, putting your hands back here, you're training your brain to pause. And he said, it's the power of the pause, that if we can just pause, connect our 3 brains together, and let our brain here relax a little bit, get the blood flow to your prefrontal cortex, then it's that pause that's going to change our behavior. And so I decided, since he teaches it to kids, everybody needs to know that. And it just feels good. So once again, it's just a simple tool that we can do right now, that families can do together, and especially teach it to your kids.
That's great stuff, Christy. I'm wondering, the yes brain, I was listening to Tara Brock or someone recently talking about the fact that our brain defaults to no. Over millennia, it's learned to say no to things out of fear and to check things out first. And I'm wondering if the name, the yes brain, came from that. It sounds like that. It feels like that's taking us to a higher order of brain function.
Absolutely. And I've learned about the power of yes from my own spiritual coach, and then Dr. Siegel. But he talks about, my personal coach talks about how our brain's been trained in no. So another technique, as you're doing your affirmations or your gratitudes for the day, of just, I am love. Yes. Right? Like, I am joyful. Yes. You always add a yes to it and feel it in your body. And you really do this, Glenn, when you're doing I call it your love affirmation game.
Yes.
Right? You're putting those affirmations in there. They're really powerful. And then I can't remember if you have a yes at the end of it.
Those are our weekly warm-ups.
So your weekly warm-ups.
Our last of the 20 affirmations that we do is only love. And wow, how precious that is in our minds. And we'll get back to it. But for now, in our minds, that was the one time a week that everyone looked forward to hugging and being hugged by everyone in the room. And boy, if you didn't get that it was sacred, now you do. Right?
You enrolled me in that game when we played it, and I've taught it to so many people. So,
it's just special. This is obviously, among other things, this is a time of great reflection, and we're getting a chance to review our game plan, like its relative effectiveness or inefficiency. Right? It's either an efficient game plan or it's not so much. And in the boating world, they would refer to what's going on right now as a dry docking. And it's incredible how much better shape the ship can be put in once it's set back into the water if you get it out of the water to address its leaks. It's very tough to address a boat's leaks while it's in the water. And we've been given an opportunity to get out of the water, albeit against our collective will. I don't know a lot of people who are just eager to see this period last a very long time. But since it is here, then we can view it as the dry docking opportunity that it is, and address the things that frankly have been getting either ignored or postponed.
Yeah. Yeah.
What were you going to say, Chris?
No, I was just going to say maybe I'm not sure if this is the time now, but I think some of the exercises that you do in those classes are really impactful. I mean, we just did one a couple of months ago, which just, I mean, it's just so beautiful. Perhaps it's something that we could do. We could teach families to do within their own houses, you know, just like a moment of family time, a moment of touching, a moment of reassurance, you know, anything to bring people together within those four walls and have them touch more, have them be closer, you know, join their hearts. Maybe it's something, because I mean, some of those exercises you do, I honestly 10 years ago would have been like, okay, I'm not going to do that. But I'm serious. I'm just being serious. But you know, it's amazing how unified and how unique a special experience that can be with people you don't even know. But just imagine doing that with people you love, and just kind of like breaking through maybe some of those old hurts and those old pains that people haven't forgiven about. And you do this and you kind of reconnect, and you kind of figure out what the bigger meaning is in all this. And you find that love. I mean, I'm the guy that's coming to you guys as the bandana tattoo guy, you know, or, no excuses coach, but you keep your mind open and you keep flowing and you keep listening to source, whatever it might be for you. I mean, that's the beauty of this panel, is that we all come from different lifestyles and different, you know, spiritual aspects. And just the beauty of it is just the love within your heart. And that's what we have right now. We have those moments, we have those abilities to connect. So I just throw that out there to you, Glenn. I know maybe not now or some other time, but I just think they're beautiful exercises that people can do in their own home in conjunction with some of the stuff that they're listening to today.
And thank you, Chris, since this is the opportunity for this today, I want to go ahead and give those tools to the audience. So I'm going to give them these affirmations, and feel free to use them in whatever way they best serve you. We do it throwing a rubber ball around, but again, not the best time to be doing that. And so we don't need a rubber ball to do this. And where these came from, to be real clear, I discovered a long time ago, I've been blessed to work a lot and for a long time, so often and over a long period of time as an actor. That's my career choice. And what I've discovered is that the power of the mind has served me even more than knowing my craft. And knowing my craft is, I don't want to minimize that because it's essential. However, I would rather have my mind intact before my craft, because my craft will be served up via the bandwidth of consciousness that I run. If I expect favorable results, right? And there's a term for this, and I want to introduce this term during this broadcast. You know, we all have heard the word paranoia. I'm not reading, I'm looking down because I'm actually looking at the screen to see all of you guys. And now that it's just me, I can look right into camera because I don't need to see my own reflection. But the term that we have heard a lot of, and probably I'm sure it's being experienced currently, is paranoia in life. And there is a seldom heard of and certainly seldom used term that is the opposite of paranoia, called pronoia. It's not a new word, but the fact that very few people know it is sort of an indicator of where our collective consciousness is as a country. I won't say as a world, because I've not lived all over the world. I've lived my entire 60 years in the United States, although I've traveled everywhere. But within most of the circles that I've traveled in and around in the US, there is a lot of focus on the word paranoia, but not pronoia. Paranoia is the mindset that believes that the universe conspires to work against you. Pronoia is the exact opposite, where you actually believe that the things that are unfolding in the long run for your protective good. It may not be felt in the now, but actually what can invite that feeling in the now is the trust in the future, meaning just a built-in trust that I may not know the specifics of why this certain something is occurring, not just the serious, the virus condition that's out right now. I'm talking about any condition, anything that ever comes up in our lives, we can say, I may not know exactly why this is going on, but I do know that one, it is part of my earth school curriculum, which means it is mine to learn, it is mine to experience, it is mine to process well. And I am committed to being a healthy processor of that. So I am one of these people who wakes up happy because I don't hold the intrinsic belief that life is my enemy and never have. I've never believed that. I've always believed that we were designed to defy the odds. This is that it is mine to learn. What just happened? It's being repeated. It's mine to process well. Are you still there, Ken? I'm committed.
Yeah, somebody has the Facebook feed open on a computer or a phone.
Okay, well,
somebody on the panel. Somebody.
Yeah, I think it's me.
Okay.
Oh,
I like side of that.
All right. So I was talking about what was I actually on the subject of? I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, my bad. I'm sorry.
It was pronoia versus
right.
paranoia,
Right. And basically holding the belief that it's part of our Earth School curriculum. Thank you, Christy. And I've always believed that we were designed to win. I bring it up in every one of my seminars. This is why I say that we need to remember. We don't need to learn. We need to remember, because this is a truth about our lives. We all outswam on the average between 4 and 500 million sperm in order to arrive here in the first place, which is certainly the act of a very strong individual. So it seems abundantly clear to me that we were not wired to be weak. We were wired to be strong. In other words, strength is in our DNA. It's our very nature. So in order to feel the comfort of strength, we have to remember. We don't have to learn. We just have to remember. We have to still ourselves and just remember that initial race and how victorious we were against seemingly insurmountable odds. So it is our nature to win. And then I decided to go into show business when I was 11 years old, although it wasn't a profession then, it was just training on stage. And then I made it a profession when I started being paid for it at age 15. And I've been doing it professionally ever since, which is 45 years. A lot of people say that it is one of the toughest businesses to beat. But I know this much. I know the odds aren't 1 in 500 million. And I've already won that race. So how difficult can it be? So I went into it with the mindset of victory and the expectation of things going well, because I live in a state of pronoia, which believes that I am operating in and around and moving through me the spirit of divine protection at all times. And I believe that that is as available to any human being as they are willing to have it be, that it's really up to them. It arrives in our life in the modality of neutrality. And then we get to decide, how big do you want this to be? How often do you want it to be? How tightly do you want to dance with it? Or do you want to see it as just a bunch of, foo-foo nonsense, and you only tap into it when you're desperate? But if it's a part of your daily discipline, then you change your vocabulary, such as moving, and I'm done here, John, but moving to California. So many people move to LA to pursue a career in acting. I never moved to LA to pursue a career in acting. I moved there to have one, which is why I'm having one. I didn't move to pursue. Here are the affirmations. The affirmations start with, and I'm going to make these very quick without explanation. Yeah, baby is number one. I don't have to read these. I have them in my head. So, yeah, baby. Yeah. So just say that out loud, like, yeah, baby.
Yeah, baby.
At home, if our panel does or doesn't say it's not important, but those of you at home, if right now where you are, if you just say, yeah, baby. And yeah, I'm talking about not just go, yeah, baby, because that's not going to get you there. You have to actually embrace it with your tonality and your enthusiasm. It's very difficult to have a bad day if you step out of bed and the first thing you say to start your day, I start with horizontal gratitude. I was telling John this morning. I express thanks for the new opportunity to serve and to be present, having lived through 34,000 heartbeats while I slept. And now my feet are on the deck and I say, yeah, baby. It is very difficult to have a rotten day when you mindfully start it out. Basically, I would use the word ignite You're literally igniting your day with the fire that says, yeah, baby, right? And you'll discover 1 or 2 good yeah, babies will work better than 3 cups of coffee.
Yeah.
Right? It really is true. So now we move from yeah, baby to, and this one's tricky. You got to say it with a Southern accent. It's come on with it, but you don't pronounce it that way. So get rid of your articulation, please, and say it this way with me. Come on with it. With it. W-I. Right. So it's W. Let me spell it for the audience. It's W-I-D-D-I-T-T. Come on with it.
Come on with it.
So you actually look at yourself in the mirror like I'm looking at you, and you go, and you let out your warrior sound. So you go, oh, come on with it. Okay. Again, you are talking yourself out of feeling like garbage. Oh, come on with it. The next one is I love this. I love this, which means you recognize that it is a part of your Earth School curriculum. Even if it doesn't feel good, you find a way to say, I love this, which means the manner in which I engage it is going to determine its effect on me, frankly. So it makes a lot of sense to love as things present themselves, because that's great that you're typing it out there. Come on with it. That's exactly how we say it. So then I love this. The next one is I'm devoted to this. And we're talking about the task at hand. Like, for example, right now, I'm devoted to this panel. I'm devoted to being a part of reaching out. This is what's going on for me in this moment. I'm devoted to this. I'm so used to doing it with the ball and looking at all of my students as we do it. I don't think I'm going to go through all 20 because it takes a while, but those are 4 big ones. I'll give you a few more that come in the middle, which is no doubt. So just say that with me right now. No doubt.
No doubt.
Beautiful. No doubt.
No doubt.
No limitations.
No limitations.
No limitations. Let's say each one twice. Okay. No doubt.
No doubt.
No doubt.
No doubt.
No doubt.
No limitations.
No limitations.
No limitations.
No
No
limitations.
limitations.
No whining.
No
No
whining.
whining.
No whining.
No
No
whining.
whining.
No blaming.
No blaming.
Blaming.
It's interesting. People a lot of times take a little wait a minute pause before they say that one. They're like, I'm sorry, no what? What did you just ask of me? You just asked of me to rise to the occasion where I cease to blame? Okay, so no blaming. And then it's one of my favorites, which is the next one, which is total ownership.
Total ownership.
Right?
Total
So
ownership.
when we completely own what it is that we're doing, like own your behavior, own the way we show up. Anyway, I want to be, we've got a great panel. I don't want to go further with this because that's my time, but those are all so helpful.
We lost someone.
John will be back. He'll be back.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Glenn, can I offer something?
Yes, you don't need my permission. You were recruited for this purpose.
I have all of your affirmations written down, and I can take a picture and post it.
Oh, that would be helpful.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if I have them 100%. If you want to review them first, it
Sure.
might not be
Yeah,
100%
just throw them up
perfect,
there.
but
Throw
yeah,
them up there. We're
yeah.
being informal. If
Okay,
there's anything I
after
need to
this,
adjust.
I'll post it because I think it's so powerful,
Okay.
and everyone needs to do it. Yeah.
I want to point out that there is a kitty cat in the windowsill behind you, looking for his next kill.
Yes, this is Winslow, and she brings quite a lot of joy.
Oh, she's watching the little birds or something out there.
She was running around back here before. I don't know if you caught that, but yeah.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it. So, what's funny, Glenn, is I have a Post-it note stuck to the bottom of my computer here that's been here for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
The universe is conspiring for me.
Yeah.
Is what it says.
That's pronoia. Did any of you look it up?
Mm-hmm. I wrote it down.
But since we're sharing, Ken, over the week that we've had the opportunity to do these, like some of us have been saying, we've been taking notes ourselves. I mean, even me being on the panel, I'm sitting here taking notes. And one that I want to point out is that really impacted me, Glenn. And it's not just because you're my friend here. When you said, "That's old, I'm new, goodbye."
Yes.
And I've heard you say that before, but when you said it this week, the emphasis that you put on each sentence, "That's old, I'm new, goodbye."
Yes.
I thought that was amazing. But also another one that Brad said the other night that we've quoted a few times, I just want to share here with the audience. You never know the ending of the story when you're in the middle of it.
Yes, that came from Brad Sham.
Yeah, so Brad Sham, the voice of the Dallas Cowboys, was just amazing. So, as much as we're here on the panel, we're learning stuff too, right along with you guys. And I just wanted to say about what Glenn was saying about the exercises, because as a person, out there years ago, I might have looked at that and go, okay, that's weird, or that's stupid, or that's uncomfortable, that's awkward. I encourage you guys in these moments that we're having right now, it's not life is normal. And when you open your eyes and you try new things and you give things an opportunity, especially now, I mean, what do you have to lose by trying these things? Oh, it seems weird. It seems stupid. You get your family doing, you get in it. I can promise you there's something that happens energetically within your soul. A lot of us sit here and I was guilty of that I'm the human, I have to control things. I have to figure out what the end result is. We're talking about moments here, and hopefully John will be able to join us back here and give us some of his beautiful insights from his perspective. Okay, awesome. I'll quit talking here for a second. But really, just look at things differently. Just look at these as opportunities, and just embrace those moments and try new things. Open your horizons. This is a beautiful opportunity to seek different avenues and seek different ways to process this information versus, sitting there staring at the news all day or, trying to predict the future. This is all we have. We have these beautiful moments. So I just encourage you guys, instead of just thinking, oh, it sounds stupid, just try it. Just give it a real try and just see what happens.
If I may jump in for a second, one of my mentors, he's on here. I saw him just enter, Damien Boudreau, one of the wisest, most spiritual men that I know. And he says, I'm talking to him one day and it was when things were not going so well that I wanted to go well. And he's like, well, it all comes down to self-belief and in oneself and, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I believe that. I buy that. I've meditated every day of my life for 16 and a half years, dude. What can you tell me that I don't already know? And he's like, well, here, why don't you do this? Why don't you get a piece of paper out? And I'd like you to write down 60 positive affirmations about yourself. And they all have to be adjectives, not adverbs. And if you need to know the difference, Google it. And so I'm like, okay, so I'm like, no big deal, right? I can do this. So we hang up and I get out my piece of paper and I start writing. I got to like 11 and I'm like, holy mother of God, I don't know any more about me than 11 positive I am statements, And so it's a really incredible exercise to sit down and really write out some of those things that you're talking about, those affirmations, and become familiar with who you really are. Because again, I've meditated every day of my life for 16 plus years. And I still sometimes wake up, and Glenn, I love the waking up to the, but I wrote in my book, that there's many days that I wake up to the judge, jury, and executioner, and they're all going, stay in bed, you loser. Nobody wants to hear from you. And they're carting me off to the chopping block.
It sounds like maybe you could use a serious defense attorney on your spiritual behalf.
I know, right? So again, it's we're all spiritual beings having this human experience, and I think that the more tools that we have in our toolbox, the better. So I'll shut up now. I don't want to pontificate.
I want to hear from John, and while you're doing it, please know I'm not ignoring. I'm actually writing out these affirmations so that I can blast them out very quickly.
Yeah, I've got a whole page of notes in the back of this envelope.
Do it.
Glenn,
nice.
when Janice Stanfield introduced us in San Jose, she came up to sing at my spiritual center there in San Jose. and invited this fellow from Hollywood to come and have lunch with breakfast with us, and you and I met with your wonderful wife, and then you came to my church about 2 weeks later and took me to lunch, and you did that rap about the 500 billion spermatozoa, but you started it, and that's why I was busting a gut here, listening, waiting for you to go back to the Big Bang. I'm sure you started it with right before the Big Bang, and you worked it to my mother's womb, and it was the most amazing rap I've ever heard. And I was going to ask you to do that rant, and you actually did the part of it from procreation. But didn't you actually used to start that at the Big Bang?
You know, I didn't use the expression the Big Bang. I referred to it as the Great Race. And I've always taught it as the Great Race, which is simply that we had such steep competition at that time, but we were unfazed by it because we were in a presence of no doubt. If you think about it, doubt is something that was never our nature. It was downloaded to us by the world.
But there was actually, think about this a second. As I remember, you talked about what are the odds? What are the odds that
actually 500 million to 1? That's what they are.
Even more than that. What are the odds given at the Big Bang when the universe was created? The chemicals and all getting together and meeting in a place called Earth, and that's how I remember it. And of course, that was 20 years ago, so who knows? But I love that; it changed my life.
Well, it may just have been part of my constantly evolving take on things, but the bottom line is we are math defiers by nature. That's the central theme of that message. And we honestly, in order to be well, I want to just cut to the chase. In order to be well, I happen to believe you have to go within and actually largely ignore the opinion of others. Largely ignore. That's just something that I believe. In fact, the most successful formula I've ever used at achieving anything in my life is to watch what others are doing and then don't do that.
I have lived my life like that.
I am completely serious.
Yep.
And if that, hopefully that doesn't sound arrogant, but if it does, then maybe it's time to include that in your game plan. Because if you look around, there are more followers than leaders. And if you want your life to wind up where you want it to wind up, there's a good chance you're going to be the one to lead yourself there. I'm talking about in terms of on the earth plane. Use what you believe in terms of your faith for leadership, but that's moving through you. But to actually look at what everyone else is doing, there's a tremendous amount of, I happen to just believe that every outcome we experience comes as a result of a recipe being utilized. And I've been coaching a lot on this in the past year because I looked at life as basically a cookbook. And what I've noticed is if I use a brownie recipe, I don't get fried chicken, right? So if it's just the truth. If I use a brownie recipe and mix up brownies and put it in a cooking pan and ship it into the oven, then to stand around hoping, I'm going to isolate 3 words here, hoping, wishing, and wanting for it to become chicken is ridiculous, right? It's going to become brownies for one reason and one reason only. It's because I'm using a brownie recipe. So when we look from the end and go back, we can look at the position our life is currently in and understand that it got this way as a result of the implementation of a specific recipe or recipes over time, all added up. Basically, every recipe we've ever used added up. So the only way to get a new outcome is to change the recipe, not to sit there and look through the glass of the oven hoping that you'll get a different outcome. And I think a huge amount of time, and I'm talking about years, guys, years are wasted with people looking and desiring change in their lives, but not changing the recipe. What they're wanting to change is the outcome. And outcomes don't get changed until we change the recipe.
Yeah.
And I want to build on something you just said, Glenn, very beautifully. So I was presenting to a mastermind yesterday in India to just a fantastic group of individuals, and they were talking to me, like sometimes about our own inner critic. And I had to share with them because a lot of people come to me and they're like, Chris, you're always so positive. You're always so energetic. You always seem to have everything going. And it doesn't seem like you have bad days or bad moments. And you always seem to believe in yourself. And how do you do that? How do you stay so consistent? And I'm like, the God's honest truth is I'm not always positive. I'm not always happy. I said sometimes I have down times and dark times and times where I'm questioning my abilities or questioning my future or questioning, my role in this world as a influencer, with my life coaching and everything else. And I told this individual on the group yesterday that asked me the question, I said, sometimes you have to believe in others' belief of you. Ken, what you were saying before, like somebody sitting there saying your own negative self-talk comes and breaks in. For those of you guys out there listening, I just share this transparently that sometimes we have to believe in what others believe in us. And I'll give you an example. My coach, Sally Anderson, who is phenomenal. I want to get her on one of these very, very soon. She's a phenomenal person. She's been an instrumental coach in my life. And she believes in me. She's like, Christopher, I don't know for what fucking reason why you're not, Tony Robbins or whatever. But it's her belief, it's other people's belief that sometimes we have to hang on to, even though we don't have the belief of ourselves. And I share that with you because it is phenomenal when you keep putting one foot in front of the others. And sometimes you have to live on their inspiration and their belief in you. It's just amazing what you can accomplish. So a lot of what I teach is about that negative self-talk and the words that we use. If you sit there and constantly use, I'll never be able to, or I won't, or I can't. If you say something like, I can't do that, you're basically saying you won't do that. You won't do what it takes to do that. So you listen to what other people believe in you and honor you. I do that. Sometimes I'm not always positive, but you hear other people say nice things about you. Sometimes you have to go with that. So I just want to share that for you guys out there listening. But definitely just amazing times right now that we have an opportunity to look within ourselves.
Yeah. So what has our panel been using this week, going around the circle here to handle this time of, the word that comes to mind to me is bombardment of sensory input. I'm 60, and in my 60 years, I've never had a greater loss/change of sensory input where this is not happening right now, and this is not, and this is not, and this is not. And if any one of those, I said this to Ken earlier today, if any one of those singularly would occur, it would be an issue, and they're all occurring at once. So we are on what I would call overload. Everyone's on overload, and so now how are we handling the overload? These are a lot of behavioral adjustments. Not hugging people is a behavioral adjustment. Not shaking hands is an adjustment. Not casually going to the market. I mean, there are many things we can do. And my good friend Earl Browning suggested making up a list of what you can do and not focusing on what you can't do, right? We know that what we focus on increases. So let's talk maybe about what we can be doing, because we all know there's not too many of us who don't know, unless we've been living in a cave, what it is we can't do right now, or what it is that's being recommended for us to not do. That's important. But what can we do? Because we have a time sitting before us, unlike any time in history, where we can use it differently and effectively and not feel like we are drowning in this. But somehow we're up on a beautiful raft floating in the wave of it all, instead of really feeling like it is opposing us. What have you guys been doing this week?
I'll jump in if you'd
Sure,
like.
Please.
So one of the things I want to throw out there, and this is something that I teach all my clients and I use for myself as well, is that we get, and since it's Sunday and we're talking about our spiritual connection, if we get that we're a spiritual being and we're a physical being. So no matter what somebody's religious belief or not is, there's a part of us that's non-physical and there's a part of us that's physical. And so it's important to realize that we're both. And then if we take that into realizing that anything that's ever been created had to be imagined before it was created. So Disneyland, cell phones, Harry Potter books, whatever it is, it came from that non-physical realm, right? So our imagination, especially in this time, is really powerful. So if we realize that, well, how do we tap into our imagination? It's using our senses, which I call our spiritual senses. So feeling, touch. We are limited on maybe who we can touch or what we can touch right now, but there's many things we can still touch. But being able to tap into that imagination taps us into our spiritual self. And probably all of this on the panel teach some of the same things, that whatever you imagine, a lot of techniques we'll use in coaching is a mental rehearsal where we'll walk a client through imagining, say they want to exercise, that they're going on a walk and they're putting on their tennis shoes and they feel the breeze and it just feels so good to move their body. They're using their five senses to imagine they're going on a walk, but the brain cannot tell the difference between what you imagine and what you're actually doing.
Right.
So the more we're tapping into that in this time, focusing on what do we want? I call it putting the train on the track. Put the train on the track that you want. Only one train, only one direction. And make sure that, so here's the train that we have on the track right here. Make sure we're not putting another train, well, I want this, but I can't do it. Start putting things, knowing, like you said, make your list of what you can do. That's the train on the track. And when you're starting to say a but, that's a train going on the other track. So being really clear in our own languaging, because when we're using our languaging, we're tapping into our senses of knowing what we want. And then
Christy, is there a chance that, I'm just playing along, is there a chance that the but, I had a nickname for it. I called them the Yabat tribe.
Yes.
Yabats, right?
Yep.
And they live right next door to the Maidme's and the Tumies. Right. Right. These are three different families: the Yabats, the Maidme's, and the Tumies, all rooms of victimization. Is it possible that the but, that the but may not be just on the other track? I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying, let's play ball here and discuss.
Yeah.
Is it possible that maybe the but is on the same track headed right at you? That it's you're setting, the but is setting itself up for a collision course, because it seems to be there. The but seems like its role is designed to block what was making an effort to move forward. Yeah, so you were moving forward, and now you've set up a but. It's almost like a roadblock. You know?
I always say you're like this, right? I mean, I can't put my hands out far enough, but they're pulling against each other, so they're stopped.
Right.
Right, but they could be going this way too.
I love your phrase, train on the track. That's fabulous.
I mean, that's wherever, and that comes from, if you've ever listened to Abraham Hicks, that's one of the things she'll talk about. But I always put things in pictures, and so then I make everything into pictures.
That's what I was thinking exactly about Abraham. I said, this lady knows Abraham Hicks. Yeah, one of my great teachers.
Yeah. And then if we can even just take this a little bit deeper. So when people are using their imagination, say you're stuck in traffic, we don't have to worry about traffic right now. Isn't that so cool? Right? But if you were stuck in traffic and you start using your senses and you're getting frustrated, you're putting a train on the track, right? But you're using your senses to experience what you don't want. And so what most people are doing is using their imagination all day to create what they don't want. So what I term it is unconscious miscreation. They're creating what they don't want.
Can you type that in? I love unconscious miscreation.
Wow. Yeah.
And I love what Damien just put up. If you guys can read that. Sorry.
Can you read that out loud for us, Ken?
Yeah. Bring the humanity of love and of connection to our fellow earthlings by creating a list of people who may be sheltered alone. Reach out to them and let them see you. Alone and lonely are two different energies. And I totally love that and totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Can he be added to this panel immediately?
Damien Boudreau, you're being invited to this panel. I'm going to send you the link and you better get in here. And he would laugh at that, by the way. He is an amazing, absolutely amazing human doing. He's out there doing it. He travels the world helping people. That's all he does. That's all he does.
My dear friend Michael out of Houston, Texas, who happens to be the president of the Houston, Texas branch of the Screen Actors Guild. I saw her post a little while ago. She said, "This is the new church."
Yeah,
I did see that. Yeah, that was cool.
So that's the president of the Screen Actors Guild in Houston, Texas, that wrote that.
Wow. And for me to be involved with a church, that's pretty funny. I mean, not in a bad way, but
Well,
Me too.
the same question.
what's even better, Chris, is you're one of the few ministers who I've heard in the middle of the service drop an F-bomb and didn't get ousted, which is really, you know. Thank you. No, I really mean that. I'm not messing with you. I love the fact that you're just sharing from your heart in a judgment-free zone. And those are the people that I have been attracted to, I will admit, my entire life. I don't want to hang around a performance. Isn't that an interesting thing for an actor to say? But I mean it. I don't wish to be around a performance. I want to be around who it is people really are. And you are as real a cat as I've ever met, which is why I've called you again and again and again. I friggin' adore you, dude.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
So look forward to seeing
is Daniel going to join us?
Yeah.
Damien.
I'm sorry, Damien.
I'm not sure. Damien, I sent you the link via Facebook Messenger. If you can click it and jump on here, even if just for a minute. I know he is currently in he's with his family in Boston, so we'll see what I talked to him on the phone yesterday. But I'd like to say there is an old, I wrote this in this little passage in my book, and I'm not promoting my book. I don't care if anybody ever buys my book. I literally said that on the day that I published it too, because I was like, if nobody ever buys this, I became a published author. So that's kind of cool. And then it became a bestseller, but he's trying to figure it out, he says. So that's awesome. I'd love to have Damien in here. But in the book, I wrote a story. It's an old Indian story about one day the gods got together and they got tired of giving mankind all of the answers to everything that ever troubled them or any answers to anything they ever wanted. And so they all got together and said, okay, we got to do something. We got to take this gift away from mankind and hide it somewhere. So they have to put in some work to find it. And one of the gods said, well, let's put it atop the highest mountain of all mountains. And they all said, no, they'll learn how to climb and they'll find it there. And another god said, how about we bury it in the deepest depths of the oceans? And no, they'll learn how to dive down and find it there. And the wisest god of them all finally spoke up and said, how about we bury it deep inside the humans themselves? They'll never think to look there. And so it continues today, right?
I love that.
I love that story. And I remember I read that originally from Wayne Dyer. And then after doing a bunch of research, I found out that it's an old Indian from India. So going inside and looking inside. And I love what you were just saying, Christy, because that's honestly, that's not something I've ever done on that level that you were teaching there, with the touching of the abdominal area and the heart chakra and all of that. So that was really, really cool. And Damien Boudreau is coming in. Here he comes. Look at this.
Welcome, Damien. We're glad you're here,
Damien.
brother. John, I see you poised on the edge of the diving board, brother. What do you got?
I wanted to ask, pardon my ignorance, but what is the name of your book?
Walls of Wisdom, Turning Pain into Profit.
Okay. Walls of Wisdom, Turning Pain into... Thank you. Good.
And John, you didn't ask, but I want to give you the name of my third book, which is coming out in a couple of months. It's called Get Your Tongue Out of My Mouth, because I'm a kissing you goodbye.
I thought that was my book. You told me that was my book.
Damien, can you hear us, Damien?
I can. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
We hear you.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me.
This is my book.
I love this guy. Damien, it's
so
good.
glad I came.
I didn't mean to make you choke on your coffee, John. Sorry.
I'm glad I was invited to this party.
So Damien, tell us about yourself and what sort of contribution can you offer to people during this most assuredly interesting. Well, I want to give it a term that's neutral. It's an interesting time, and
It's an exciting time.
It is, and when we kind of get to put our own spin on it. And what hope can you offer to people that are watching today for maybe offering some spiritual tools that they can enlist in order to have this not be a bad experience, but even somehow a uniquely interesting and uplifting experience?
Well, first of all, the uncertainty of the time that is creating anxiety is based on the unknown, based on not knowing what is going to happen. And the inability to control what is going to happen is a reality of life that you have no control anyway. You know, all you can do is accept this journey. And when it doesn't go the path that you want, it doesn't mean it's the wrong path. It's just meant you thought it was supposed to go different. Every time in our life that there has been tragedy or chaos or crisis, whether it be 9/11 or Hurricane Katrina or Hurricane Harvey or the 2008 crash or Desert Storm or whatever the tornado of that moment was, we evolved as humans to be better. You hear the noise of the media that says, you know, how bad things are or how bad they're going to be. And nobody saw during Hurricane Katrina all us people come together and cook and work and set up hospitals in tents and join together and really pull humanity up. The human spirit is incredibly flexible and intelligent, and it'll figure it out. Global evolution is really exciting because it's really the first time we've had this global ability to go, let's come together. And we all live on this little blue ball. And now for the first time, we're all talking, fighting the same battle. And I just look forward to the opportunities of humanity that come out of this. The spirit of people as we come out of this, as we connect. Look at this little group, right? I don't know who knew each other in the last 5 weeks, but the beauty of this is that relationships will be established that will be forever. And I tell you, it's the greatest time in the world. And you got no control. So just relax, accept, surrender, love, find gratitude in the little, you know, in the little butterfly that you, oh my God, there's a butterfly. That's so gorgeous. That's so cool. Right. And that's all there is. And everything else is beautiful. Yeah. And there's going to be death, and there's going to be chaos, and there's going to be people who lose their businesses, and there's going to be challenges, and everything's going to be okay. It's part of the journey.
Damien, I mean, I've been saying the same exact thing all week. I mean, for most of my life anyway, but for those out there who are like I was, like a total control freak and totally cerebral, what are a couple of suggestions that you can give them that they may not have the ability to kind of see? They're not like, okay, you guys are all pie in the sky, you know, got your rose colored glasses on. What are some tips that perhaps you can share with the general Joe public that maybe not, that can help them transverse into just being in the moment versus being so cerebral and so in the future?
Oh yeah, you're strong. You got control of everything. You just hold on tight. Ride that shit. Yeah.
Yes, I like them. I love them, man. This is cool.
I have 4 daughters, and my oldest daughter came. You know, when you first have a child, you know, you grab your daughter and you look at your daughter and I'm going to do the best that I can. Oh my God, I'm going to be the best dad. And then my second daughter, you know, she looks up at you and says, life will never be the same, just so you know. And then you have your second child, and my third child was born, and my third child came out. She came out, and they rushed her out of the room. They didn't put her in my arm, right? And I didn't get to see her. She was early. And I go to follow, and I don't get to see her till the next day. And I get to see her. They make me put on a blue hat and a blue thing and blue shoes. And And I go into the neonatal ICU, and I see my little girl for the first time, and she's in a little glass case, you know, a little curio, and they got wires all in her she's 2 pounds 9 ounces, right? So she's this big, and her hand fits on my thumb, and I get to touch her with gloves, right? They let me put my hands in his holes, right? And I put on my Full Metal Dad, and 8 years later, I ain't got nothing. I've lost everything. I have fought. I have done battle. I have heroic. People looking at me like, man, you are just an animal. And my daughter didn't care about none of that. She just wanted her daddy to hold her and love her and tell her, it's going to be okay. But her dad was too busy fighting the battles of the world. When you have a normal child, you just love the child. But when you have a handicapped child, now you got to be heroic for some stupid cray reason, right? And you got nothing. When life drags you through hell and you come out on the other side, you learn you had no control throughout the hell. You were just in the abyss. And the abyss isn't a bad place. It's a great place to learn. It's just a place, right?
Wow.
And so you just learn that really you have no control of the things you think you can and the things you think you need to. So just love and accept. And I don't know what you get out of that, but go hug your child right now, and that might be the answer.
Yep.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Powerful.
Gives you peace.
The power of
peace.
being here now. And one of the greatest ways of being here now is to be in a state of love.
Yeah.
To love
yeah,
myself.
it's always
Beginning
it's the
of loving myself.
Yeah, in the quantum energy field, oxytocin, the love energy, is the most powerful energy. It actually moves you from beta to gamma, alpha, and delta, right?
Yeah.
And when you're in love, it slows down and it makes you not about tomorrow or yesterday, but about only now. And that's really all you have anyway.
Damien, that's what I've been doing all week. I do these rants where I create a higher vibrational frequency. I touch my heart often during the day. And go to love. I just tune into love. Just raise my vibrational frequency to love in every moment. And that brings me present. It brings me present and gives me joy in what ought to be, what normally could have been a shitty position to be in life. Just going to love constantly. It's very like saying we have some 40,000 or 40 million neurons in and around our heart. The Heart Math Institute has proven, and going there, touching that heart and breathing into it.
And Glenn, going back to one of the things that I think you've been asking is, what are some things we can give people?
Yes.
Right. What can people take away from this time together? And so one was the affirmations that you were talking about, right?
Yeah, baby.
That we're going to post. And here's the thing. You can take two people. You can imagine you're throwing a ball. It doesn't have to be a real ball.
Of course,
but it's that direct eye contact, present with each other in that moment. They can get creative and maybe make videos and post it here of how they play it, but one, that's going to be posted. Two, we talked about the power of breathing, putting one hand on our heart, one hand on our abdomen, and taking our breaths, really tuning into our body and checking in, bringing your focus inside. You've talked about, John, you're just talking about just connecting to your heart. Heart Math is another great program that people can look into if they're wanting some other resource. And so, being in that place of love and connecting to yourself is important. And a lot of what we've been talking about in this time is mindset. How are you going to look at what's happened? Right? Where are you going to put your mind in this time? Because we can focus on what we can't do or what could be, or what we've been giving are really tools to how do we choose what we want to focus on, use our imagination and focus on what we can do. So I feel like that's kind of what we put out there so far. Is that?
Yes, indeed. I want to add to that playlist, Christy, something that doesn't get spoken about nearly enough, along with consciousness and mindfulness. Those are the adult terms that are being used. But I want to talk a little about the importance of playfulness at this time, and I talk about it a lot in my seminars. And I want to encourage everyone, and in order for this to work, I want to give you a little tip about the exercise. You're going to have to leave the judgment zone, right? So your opinion about it, if you judge it, if you think of it as nonsense, I'm going to warn you in advance, don't even do it. Because what I'm going to invite you into doing will backfire if you hold an opinion about. Just enter the room of neutrality, consider that there could be a great amount of validity, which there is, and I can attest to that. It's been a huge part of my path as an actor, and I have helped thousands upon thousands upon thousands live, and then no telling how many when it went out and was shared with others. I don't have that number, but silly things that have never been done before. Now you may say to yourself, wow, how can you come up with something that's never been done before? The world's an old place. Everything's been done before. And I will tell you, not even close. Not even close. There are so many things that you can do right now when you tap into the entrepreneurial mindset. Here is an example. When you're feeling overwhelmed, fill your belly button with ranch dressing and dip carrot sticks in it and watch a football game, right? So don't eat it out of a bowl. Eat it out of your belly button.
Belly button. Your own.
Yes.
Belly
No.
button right
Fill
now.
it. Fill it. But you have to understand, Daddy ain't playing. I'm serious. I'm talking about filling your own belly button. And where this comes from, Roush, you know where I'm headed with this.
Oh,
right. So I learned years ago. Let me tell you where this teaching came from.
Oh, yeah.
I learned many years ago that the average person on a job interview, or in my world, they call them auditions, the average person experiences a certain amount of nervousness. Okay. This is going to be beautiful. The next couple of minutes are going to be life-changing. I promise you.
Yes.
Money back guarantee, and you're not even spending any money to watch this anyway. So nerves, for starters, have never derailed a presentation. They've never derailed a talk. So any one of you who have ever experienced a condition of nervousness, and you thought, God, I'd love to do it, but I'd just be too nervous. First of all, it's not nerves that get in your way, but rather your opinion about those nerves. So when you see nerves as the enemy, then it is your opinion that is derailing your presentation. It is your opinion about the nerves that is derailing your job interview. So if you can befriend them, and of course you can, nerves are fuel, baby. That's what they are. Can you imagine if you were to put a heart monitor on a cowboy right before they flip the gate open and they're on a bull? I'll promise you it's not icy calm. And it's just that they are jacked up because they get the impact of it. And that's part of their divine recognition of that. So where am I headed with this? Here's where I'm headed. I had so many actors that said, I blew the read today at the studio. I blew it, or I failed to get that TV series because I was good in the pre-read. But ultimately, when I got down to ABC or Fox or whatever, and it was the network round where they sign you to a series regular contract, I choked. So I thought, if I'm going to be an effective coach, I've got to teach I've got to teach people how to not choke under pressure. And what I came up with was I went to, goes back many years ago. This is almost 30 years ago now. And I was reading for a series regular role for an ABC sitcom. And when I went to the network that day, I walked out and I listened to one of my whispers that came in, that divine voice from within. And I've learned to recognize that it only has my best interest in mind. So this is under the heading of listen to the whisper. And what that whisper told me, I turned around and walked back into my house. And Carolyn said, she said, did you forget something, honey? And I said, nope, just obeying a whisper. Well, she values my whispers completely, supports me doing whatever I need to do in response to a whisper. And she said, what did you hear? And I said, what I heard is that apparently I need to go to ABC today with my shoes filled with syrup. And here is why we're still married. She not only didn't judge me, she didn't say, honey, are you unwell? What she said was, she walked into the kitchen with me and said, "Did you want Aunt Jemima or log cabin?" And that was it. And we filled, I'm not talking about a couple of drops. We filled my shoes with syrup, not so much that it would go up and over and leave a smear on the hallways at ABC, but just enough for my feet to really experience that they were swimming in syrup. Now, first of all, what man on that day at ABC had his shoes filled with syrup? Answer: zero. What man in the entire state of California had their shoes, their perfectly good shoes, filled with syrup? The answer is zero. So I know that I am doing something that has not been done. And I got to tell you, I wasn't even one who was ever prone to nervousness in the first place. And I realized in this moment, you are seriously tapped into something beautiful. And if people can look beyond the judgment. Now, by the way, I went on to have the most cool, calm, and collected meeting I've ever had, and was signed to my first series regular role with friggin' syrup in my shoes. I did the job, and a few weeks later, when I went back out on the pavement, because that's what we do as actors, we're always looking for that next job. We interviewed probably more than anyone does in a lifetime, because interviews are what we do for a living, and occasionally it's interrupted with a job. That's an old actor's saying. So on the very next interview, I decided to do it again, only this time I added little miniature marshmallows, little baby marshmallows, and I put them in between each one of my toes. I truly did this, and I am not insane. And I got to tell you, it was like, now we're stepping the game up. And it started becoming a running gag with us when we went to the store. We were like, look at what I can do. Look at this. Honey, come here. This would be awesome. And she's handing me things off of the shelf, you know, going, let's try this. So I went on to set the record of the most jobs booked that my agency has ever seen. The record standing 30 years. And this is not being self-congratulatory. It is such a massively efficient teaching tool. But that record was 30 years standing. One client had booked 5 jobs in a row. And when I was headed for that 5th job, here was the light bulb that went off. I thought, you know, if this stuff works this well in my shoes,
Oh, no.
where else might I want to begin placing things? And on that 5th job,
No.
I went out and got myself a pack of Oscar Mayer bologna. I folded a slice in half and put it directly between my butt cheeks. And I walked into the studio, and my mantra that day was Oscar Mayer equals hire. And not only did they hire me, I want to be respectful and move this along. I'll just tell you, I booked job number 5, job number 6, job number 7, job number 8, and my streak ended at 9 jobs in a row, a record that has never been broken since. And I'm convinced the only reason I didn't book the 10th job is because I friggin' ran out of bologna. But the point is, at some point, we've got to quit taking ourselves so seriously. This is the pitch, and it really does work, and it really does change lives. And I've had so many CEOs that wrote me that said, dude, we thought you were certifiably nuts. And then we thought, hey, we paid him to speak at our company. Maybe we should try this stuff instead of judging it. And it changes their lives. I have CEOs who will not host a monthly sales meeting without breakfast cereal in their undershorts. They won't do it. They won't do it. And so my pitch to all of you adults out there is, remember that one of the freest times of your life was when you were sitting in the sand, when you were sitting in a sand pile. That was your biggest concern, was to put a bunch of sand together and dig a little hole through it and tunnel down. We used to say we were going to dig to China, right? So it might be time, whether you're in the mood to, or not, to go manufacture something that has never been done before, and then do it. You will feel so good when you do it, and so freed that it's magical, and it is actually a spiritual exercise. So there you go, bologna in your undershorts.
Yeah, it's the power of imagination, right?
Wow. Wow.
So he's using his imagination correctly. To go back, Joe, I think you were commenting that people don't always use their imagination properly.
Wow.
There you go. You just got to take it to another level.
I'm blown away right now. So what about firecrackers? I'm kidding.
Be
Don't
safe.
do that.
Be
Don't do
safe.
that.
Hey, I did have some moron. I did have some moron write to me and say, you can put this on your list when you're speaking to corporations. You can put this one on your list of things not to do. He put jalapeno flavored potato chips
Uh-oh.
in his undershorts,
Oh, bad idea. Bad idea.
and they
Yeah.
burned his very sensitive area.
Oh my Lord, have mercy. Yeah, that's not. Wow.
I love some of the comments down here when you were going through that.
Well, I'll promise you, this is a different sort of service, John. What were the comments, buddy?
We have now entered PG-13 territory.
I thought we were way past that before.
Mute.
So,
I'm looking at the comments. Beautiful.
Uh-huh.
I would like to add one more tool to that too. I mean, the power of play is something that I just teach as well. So I'm so glad that you brought that up. It's so, I mean, any type of play, but play. And another tool that we can put in our toolbox is the power of changing our energy. And that's a lot of what I teach is, you know, when people right now are holding a lot of tension in their body, you can use your body to help release that tension. And when you do that, then when you change how you feel in your body, you change your energy, you change your mindset.
Yes,
So
yes.
if we have time, I would love to show you a simple one.
Do it.
If we have time for that.
People
Okay.
may need to come and go,
Okay.
but we got time, baby.
Okay. And so once again, I know you guys need to stay seated, but this is something. So once I teach power breathing, not tower breathing, power breathing, the next exercise that I teach is something called head, heart, tummy tapping. And so we've already talked about how we have three brains, right? So our head, our heart, and our gut. We have a natural energy flow in our body. Our natural state of balance in our body is a cool head and a warm abdomen. When we're in that natural state, we feel like we have a cool head. Do we make better decisions with a hot head or a cool head?
Indeed.
Cool head, right? So we want to know how to create a cool head. When your abdomen's warm, you digest your food properly, your circulation is good, you feel balanced and grounded on your feet. When something happens, you don't freak out. And so then it actually signals our kidneys to release water, goes up to our head, and it cools our head, creating that state. So you can create that state anytime. As you know, I recommend doing this after you do your yeah baby in the morning, but do it in the morning so you create that natural state of balance, and then whenever you need to throughout the day. This is just one of those exercises. There's many you can do. So if you're at home and you can stand. If you can't, sitting is fine. But stand with your feet shoulder width apart if you're standing. Go ahead and bounce your knees if you can. Get your fingertips out. And what we're going to do is keep doing our power breathing and go ahead and tap your head. Close your eyes. I'm going to tap really gently just so it doesn't pick up on my microphone. But you want to close your eyes, bounce your knees, keep breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth, and tap all around your head. What you're doing in this movement is you're connecting your mind and your body together. You're becoming present. You're getting more oxygen to your brain, more blood flow to your brain, and you're releasing tension from your head. So tap all around. Next, go to the backbones in your head. Tapping there is really good because we can hold tension there. Now, you can do this as long as you want to. I will do it a little bit short since I don't want to take up too much time, but go ahead and keep tapping the backbones of your head. Breathing in through your nose, out through your mouth. Just feeling where you're tapping and letting go of any thoughts for this moment. Just connecting and feeling where you're tapping. Now come over to your temples and tap your temples. We can hold a lot of tension there as well. And keep breathing. With this headset, I'm not able to tap as freely, so you'll do a better job without a headset on. Next place, flat hands. You're going to tap right here on your lungs and your chest. So once again, bounce your knees and tap right here. Breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. what you're doing is you're bringing your energy down from your head down to your chest, to your heart chakra. And as you're tapping here, you may notice that your head feels cooler and you start to relax. Anybody that experiences anxiety, they generally have an energy blockage in their chest. This is a really important place to tap. So keep tapping, breathing in through your nose, out through your mouth. Our body's pretty tough. You can tap harder. I'm tapping light just so I don't make too much of a noise. But you can tap to whatever way it feels comfortable, whatever strength. Now, last place, hands like this. You're going to tap right under your belly button because we want to warm abdomen. So you're going to tap your abdomen and turn your head side to side. So I'm asking you to do a lot right now, to bounce, to breathe, to tap, and to turn your head side to side. And what you're doing is you're bringing your energy down all the way to your abdomen. Keep breathing and tapping and just feeling that vibration of where you're tapping. Just do a little bit longer. The reason we're turning our head side to side is it relaxes our brainstem and helps to turn off the stress response in our body. And then go ahead and stop. Put one hand on your heart once again, one hand on your abdomen. Take a deep breath in. Check inside your body and notice, what is your body feeling inside from doing that tapping? I know you guys are sitting down, but as you tapped along, what do you notice inside your body right now?
A vibration.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
I'm noticing warmth.
Mhm.
Yeah. So here's the cool thing is that we make 80% of our immune system in our intestines, 90% of our serotonin, and 50% of our dopamine in our intestines.
Wow.
When you bring your energy down and you warm your intestines, you're boosting all of that.
Wow.
And
Thank
that
you.
warmth, when you boost that warmth in your body, just raising your body temperature 1 degree really boosts your immune system. So it doesn't have to be hard, right? And then that vibration, that feeling, the more we increase our blood flow, the more we're promoting healing to our body.
You know what I love about your contribution, Christy, is anytime you see a program where there's a panel, they don't allow time for stuff like this. And you just took us into this beautiful exercise, and I knew that this would be your level of contribution. And I love you so much. It's such an important aspect of what we can share with others. So just thank you, because I know there are so many people that were tapping along with you as they listened, and many of them are going, this is better than CNN.
Mm-hmm.
Right. This is more proactive. It's tough to be proactive while being inundated with rotten news, but you really. I want to invite you to do another one of these with us when time allows, and I'm thinking maybe time will allow this week, because I really feel the need for this for people. It's just beautiful, and the comments are indicating that.
Christy, I want to ask Christy. I want to teach that next Sunday. I taught some techniques this morning for avoiding panic, for getting through panic, for letting go of fear from a Buddhist viewpoint. And I'd like to teach that next Sunday. Would that be okay with you?
Absolutely.
And what do you call that?
I call it head, heart, tummy tapping. I have not found a better name. Sometimes I call it 3 brain trap tapping, but in the schools, I'm not allowed to say we have 3 brains. So then I go back to head, heart, tummy, because I work with kids. It works.
Well, I bet they love that.
Mm-hmm.
What did you
and I
teach
have
this
to
morning,
tell you,
John?
can I share one thing about this is, so I teach kindergarten through 5th grade. All the kids in our school district have those two tools, the power breathing and the head, heart, tummy tapping. And we pause and I ask them, what are you feeling in your body? Right. So they're learning how to go within, even though we only get about 10 minutes of mindfulness when I see them. Right. And a couple weeks ago, before the schools closed, I was in a 1st grade classroom and a little 6 or 7-year-old boy, he said, I feel this love in my heart. I feel this love and this energy, and it's connected to everybody. I was like, how powerful is that this little boy, right, is learning to take these tools, feels it. I'm like, that is a wise little boy. We can learn so much from kids, right?
So huge. I mean, my 3-year-old son is home for, I guess we figure out the next 6 weeks. 3-year-old son, and I'm sitting there looking to him for lessons. I'm looking to him. I'm like, I have my moments. I was talking to Glenn earlier. I have my moments where I'm usually pretty positive because I've been doing a lot of serving and just contributing to the online community and everybody else. But like, I think I can't remember who was saying it before. I think it was Damien. Our kids are such a phenomenal resource to get in touch with that inner kid. I'm sitting there thinking the other day, he's like, Daddy, I want to paint. My first reaction, I swear to God, was like, oh my God, painting, it's going to make a mess. We're going to have to clean it up. And I turned around and I had that negative thought in my brain, and I turned and I looked at his face. And I'm like, I need that face. I don't need this face. I need that face. Let's paint. Let's make a mess. It's water. It's let's have fun. Actually, I thought of you, Glenn, because I have been more in touch with my childlike side. And I know that I've had therapists in the past that have asked me very poignant questions, such like, Christopher, when was the last time you thought you were a kid? That's another story. So getting in touch with that and being playful, I think is beautiful. And I wanted to ask you, John, you had mentioned that you did a couple of techniques this morning you had mentioned like the Buddhist type of audience. What did that involve, if you don't mind sharing?
Well, exercises for being here now, being present in the here and now. Couple things: just sitting and breathing and feeling your feet on the floor. Just wiggle your toes. Whatever we can do to get out of the mind, to get out of my mind, to get out of your mind, wiggle your toes on the floor. Feel maybe exercise your ankles, moving your toes up and down. Putting your hand on your heart and breathing was one I talked about today. And then noticing fear and suffering when it comes up. I dare say, I know I have felt some suffering this past few weeks, and maybe you have too.
Mm-hmm.
And not fighting it, not doing affirmations to chase it away, but to go, oh, name it. That's suffering.
Mm-hmm.
That's suffering. Number one, name it. That's suffering. Number two, say, suffering is normal in humanity. I'm a human being. Nothing unique about suffering. I have suffering. And so do a lot of people now. And then going to the third step is hand on heart and hand on tummy and speaking dearly to, like, as if you had a friend who was suffering. Oh, I love you so much. We're going to get through this. It's okay. It's okay. We're going to get through this. What would you say to a friend who is suffering?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're going to get through this. And then even some people will say endearment, like, oh, honey, it's okay. We're going to be fine. I'll lead you through this. We'll be okay. Like that's one of the, I think, the great techniques that I learned from Kristen Neff is to name the pain. Fear.
Ooh.
Not my fear, not I'm afraid, but that's fear. Like this past week, I started to go into panic. It's like my mind ran away with a parade of horribles.
Yep.
Are going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
My entire building will be emptied out, and it'll just be me and some tumbleweeds running down the hallway. The parade of horribles are going to happen. Like panic, and the amygdala, the center of flight or fight in my brain, they lose their panic. It takes the edge off by just naming it for them. That's panic. That's fear. Okay. Yeah, it does something. Try it. Next time you have some fear or worry, just go, worry. Worry. Very human. Very human.
Well, thank you for sharing that, because it goes along with what I was talking about earlier. Just for you guys who weren't on the calls earlier, or the other calls we've had this week, the Surrender Experiment has been a phenomenal book in my life. I've read it several times. I listened to an audio, and it actually talks about that in there, John. It talks about
Mickey Singh is a friend of mine. Sure.
Are you kidding me?
Oh.
Please tell him, and I don't mean any bullshit by this. This book and of course, The Untethered Soul.
Yes.
phenomenal books from somebody who would not have probably picked up these books a couple of years ago. Again, Sally Anderson, my coach, which we're going to be having her on one of you soon. Yeah, he talks about it, and he goes, emotions are going to come up and feelings are going to come up. He goes, you are the observer of those, and you can let them go. And when I first read it, I was like, oh, bullshit. What? I mean, how do you just let it go? I mean, if anybody could just let it go, then geez, everybody would be happy. But it really does, because I've read the book several times. What techniques do you have? I mean, now that you actually know Michael Singer, that you could share with the audience that potentially, who may look at this and go, okay, how can I just let it go? This is my entire life. I'm not going to have a job after this. I'm not going to be able to pay rent. What's going on? How do I just let it go? From your perspective, what recommendations do you have for us and the viewers that could potentially help them with that? Because it's phenomenal. I'm practicing. I'm not perfect, but it does help, and it's surprising me. I just have to admit.
Yeah, the whole thing for me is about being in the present moment, being present to whatever the feelings are, and focusing on the sensations in my body. That's really, I will, like Christy was saying, what do you do all week? Or maybe Glenn asked that. I will walk around my apartment and focus upon the next step. I will feel my feet upon, I've got a little two-bedroom apartment in a small little place there. And I will just walk around, breathe, and feel every step. I will go in and wash the dishes or wash my hands, like, I'm supposed to wash your hands for 20 seconds. Focus on the soap. Feel the soap, feel the hands. When you go to Yogi Amrit Desai, that's how I met Mickey Singer when Mickey Singer hosted Yogi Desai after the Kripalu mess many years ago. I was doing some legal work for Yogi Desai. That's how I met the whole bunch of them. And but when you go to Kripalu or to an ashram, they'll put you to work in the kitchen. They don't care that you're paying to be there. Part of the experience is to work in the kitchen in loving, compassionate, selfless service, and to meditate as you're doing it. When I teach meditation, I teach, okay, now you can sit here and breathe and be there for 30 minutes and breathe and breathe and breathe. Good. Now, continue your meditation by opening your eyes and breathing and continuing to meditate as you stand up and walk through your day. I used to meditate while I was in courtrooms conducting trials by just breathing and focusing on the present moment, not listening to all the judge and jury in my head, but being present. And it opens up faculties of brain, mind, or the eternal that can now get a word in edgewise because I'm not blabbering on, but I'm being present and open spaced. Like there's an open spaciousness when I'm just breathing and being in the present moment and available to a higher power, to angels and saints, to God, the universal consciousness, whatever you prefer to call the beyond, that feeds us amazing information and ideas. And it's just whether you believe in anything like that or not is not as important as are you willing to try it. And and let it
big time. Thank you for sharing that so much. I mean, it's been I'm so grateful that I went down that road and learned these things, because I think, like I've said before, I would be probably a much more chaotic person right now.
I was a mess before I learned this stuff. Right.
Exactly. And that's why I keep telling everybody, because I'm the guy that was like, I'm not reading that stuff. I'm the one that tells people I don't talk about self-help fluffy bullshit. I just get straight to the point. And I would have probably thought this was fluffy before, but it's just, that's just so important that we keep our minds open. And I'm just so grateful, because it's such a beautiful thing. It's just like, it gives life a meaning when you are truly in the moment. And I've always just been that. It's either in the past. I teach people about the past, present, and the future. It's like when you change your perspective to that, you change your emotions to that, your outcomes and your results become so much more better. I mean, you just learn from that. You don't fight yourself constantly. You don't constantly worry about shit you can't control. That's the beauty of it for me, is like, if I'm just in the moment with my son or my family, or, enjoying something, I don't have any capacity to worry about what's going to happen next Tuesday. I'm just in this moment because God forbid, tomorrow something can happen, with anybody. You're just involved in that moment and you're just really embraced in that. That I think is really, for me, like the crux of the love of life, is just to be able to be in that. And that's something I just continue to work towards every day. So thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm just so honored to be, to know you now, because I mean, just Mickey, I've watched tons of his interviews with people and just, God, what an amazing individual.
You want an amazing experience?
Bring it.
Go to Florida, go to Alachua, Florida, and go to the Temple of the Universe and meet Mickey Singer. He's very accessible. Go over there at 6:30 or 7 in the morning. Go to his little ashram and meditate with him.
Yeah, he still has that out in the forest, right? Or out in the woods. Does he still have that out in the woods? He still lives there, right?
Temple of the Universe. Oh yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, that's amazing. I would love to. I mean, seriously.
Go hang with him.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much.
Hey, Chris, can you shed some light on a word you used? Can you define for our audience and maybe for me specifically the word fluffy?
I
love your use of the word fluffy.
He's a dictionary, a picture of me, right?
Fluffy to me, from being in the personal development world, is where you say 75 words to say 3. It's like, you know what you need to do? You need to sit Indian style and list out all your desires and all your wants. And then you sit kumbaya and you crush your fingers and you think about these things, then they'll come. I'm just like, get your ass up and do the fucking work. Get your ass up and do the fucking work.
Right.
Do the fucking.
By that definition, you must think of me as a poodle.
No, that's why people keep telling me all this. Like, you guys are so different, but you're so the same. And I think people are just getting a charge out of that. They're like, they tune in, they're like, what the, this guy's in the middle of all these things. So yeah, I mean, fluffy is just, for me, it's just, I know different people have different ways that they receive information. That's the beauty of the world, is that we all give and receive information differently. And some people like me, they're like, oh, hell yeah, I like Chris. Some people look at me and go, man, I don't want anything to do with them. And that's fine. I mean, that's why there's 7 billion people on the planet. I just prefer, rather than trying to waste people's time with fluffy stuff, it's just like, let's just get to the heart of stuff. I told somebody the other day, they were complaining to me. They called me and they're like, Chris, what am I going to do with this? And da, 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 da. And I said, and I was trying, I have a progressive coaching style. And I tell my clients that it's like, how I try to gauge how hard I can go on them without breaking them, but also getting to the results. I mean, that's the core of why somebody comes to you, is like, okay, I want to go see the no excuses coach because I'm tired of my excuses. I'm tired of playing the someday game. I don't want the fluffy shit. I want somebody to help me get the results. So somebody was calling me the other day, and I was progressively trying to get their perspective to change. And finally, I just had to get raw with them. And I'm like, listen, you're going to have to do shit that you've never done before. Maybe you and your family are going to have to walk around to people's houses and offer to pick up dog shit. Maybe you're going to have to collect cans. Maybe you're going to have to go wash cars. Maybe you're going to have to do something different to get through this. This is not going to be like, oh, I wonder what the government's going to do for me today. I wonder what you're going to have to go we're all going to have to go bust our ass to get through this. And that's the way I get rid of that fluffy stuff. It's like, no, this is not life as normal. This is not business as normal. This is going to require some blood, sweat, and tears, ladies and gentlemen. This is unprecedented, spiritually, emotionally, physically. Make sure you're still getting your exercise and everything, but this is not business as usual. So the fluffy stuff, but at the same time, it just depends on how you see fluffy. I mean, it could be Gabriel. What's that comedian? I'm not fat, I'm fluffy.
You just reminded me, Chris, of another mentor of mine from years back when I started my company. I got sober in 2002, and I couldn't find my rear end with both hands and a flashlight. I mean, I was lost, and I started doing websites on, I was freelancing, just trying to figure out life and being sober and all of that. And I'm sitting in this this friend of mine's office. He's a multi-millionaire financial planner and brilliant mind. And he's like, so how are things? And he's wired. This guy is wired for sound. How are things going for you, man? And I'm like, why are you so happy? I'm thinking, and I'm like, dude, things are really not good. I'm broke. I can't even afford to pay attention. And and life is miserable, and it seems like I had more confidence when I drank a lot, but I can't do that anymore. So what the hell am I supposed to do? And he goes, well, I guess if you want to continue living sitting on your hands and your excuses and your bull crap, sorry, I try not to swear a lot. But you're sitting on your hands and all of that crap you're feeding yourself. He goes, you do realize that there's a guy right here in Columbus, Ohio, that makes over $1 million a year picking up people's dog crap out of their yards. He makes over $1 million a year picking up dog poop out of people's yards because they don't want to do it. And he created an entire business and industry out of it. And I think that, you know, people get, and I've been there, so this is not me judging anyone, but we want to get all spiritual and we want to, you know, well, I meditated 16 times today and I went to 33 Alcoholics Anonymous meetings yesterday and I did this and I did that and I'm one of the most spiritual people in the world and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, but I'm broke. And well, dude, you forgot, like Chris just said, you forgot something unbelievably important, and that is doing what Glenn Morshower did today. He picked up the phone and he called me and he's like, hey man, let's do a live stream and bring some positive energy to the world today. And you got to take action, because you can be the most spiritual being on planet Earth, but if you're sitting around not doing shit, you're not doing shit.
No. Yeah, I am so grateful that Glenn invited me to join you guys today. This is so great. I've got to thank you. I want to stay in touch with each of you. I think you're each special and beloved and amazing people that I want to have in my circle of friends. And I've got to run now, though, Glenn.
I understood. I told them about that when we
have a daughter who's in a talent show, and she's #1. It's a national thing. It's on Zoom. And so I've got to go tend to that. And
that's awesome.
John, thank you for the gift of your time, brother.
Yes. Well, it was fun.
Thank you, John. It was
and you know, all you have to do is press that little button that says leave studio right there underneath.
Leave studio. Now I'm on the face. Have you heard of the Facebooks? I'm on the Facebooks. Let's become friends. Yeah. Send leave studio. Christy.
There you go, buddy.
Bye.
Chris,
be well, John.
Take care. Thank you very
much. I want to go back and put these affirmations. I want to actually read these, and so write them down if you're watching, if you would. And I'm going to ask you guys to repeat them with me. And we're going to go back real quickly and start with "Yeah, baby."
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, baby.
Come on with it.
Come on
with it.
I love this.
I love this.
I'm devoted to this.
I'm devoted to this.
I embrace this.
I embrace this.
No excuses.
Hell no excuses.
No doubt.
No doubt.
No limitations.
No limitations.
No whining.
No whining.
No blaming.
No blaming.
Total ownership.
Total ownership.
Laser focus.
Laser focus.
Constant gratitude.
Constant gratitude.
Heart wide open.
Heart wide open.
How about this one? Crystal clear outcome.
Crystal clear outcome.
You're unstoppable.
Hell yeah.
You're unstoppable.
You are peace. This is when you're talking to someone and they're reminding you. So you're unstoppable.
You're unstoppable.
You are peace.
You are peace.
You are powerful.
You are powerful.
No more regrets.
No more
regrets.
And this is an amended one that I added recently, which is better choices instead.
Better choices instead.
And we actually say those separately, and then we go back, and the second time around, we merge the two together so that it reads like this: no more regrets, better choices instead. Say that with me if you would. No more regrets, better choices instead. And the last one is only love, because at the end of the day, that's really all there is. I wanted to make sure in this program today, because we're not going to be doing our characteristically long marathons, I want to remind people, especially on this day, of a shift we have had as kind of a family, an online family this week, to actually stop using the term social distancing. and instead replace that with physical distancing and social connection, right? Because we're connecting at this time. We're not distancing. Everyone I have talked to, I haven't talked to a single person who found this to be a time of great distancing. I know that's the terminology used, and we are distancing ourselves physically, but we're not distancing ourselves. And frankly, I think we get into trouble when we do. So think of this as merely a physical distancing time, but it could very well be, and probably is, if you'll really closely inspect this, that we have grown closer as a world because this is a global issue. We've become closer this week than maybe we've been in years, right? I can't speak for anyone else, but the people that have spoken with me this week, they've all said the same, that it was an incredible week of connection. So Perry said, I've made new friends this week. Yes, indeed. Certainly I have. I've made new friends on this panel this week, and it has been phenomenal. And Ken, you know, you have been our great leader through this, running it for us. And also, frankly, not only running it, but really being a great host and really kind of watching the energy and watch how to direct it. And if you feel that there's a spot that needs to be massaged, you do it. And it changes without you, brother. So thank you. Thank you so much.
And I don't know if everybody noticed, but the wind is really, really calm here on my island. And it just never is like that here. So
yes,
I'd love to be on an island right now.
It is. Do we have any closing remarks? I think probably, if I may suggest, if we wrap up, say in another 10, 15 minutes, just so that we don't go into marathon mode. It says we've been on live for an hour 50. So I don't know, maybe we go call it at 2 hours today. I don't have anywhere to be, but you know, I feel like we've done our job, and I agree with Chris. I think we should maybe respond to some questions or comments that are on the board. So for those of you who are still tuned in, if you have anything that you'd like to underline, mention, ask about, there's something you want to recommend, please do.
We forgot to tell Christy, I don't know if you know this, but in the StreamYard window over to the right, there's a little button that says live comments. Have you been seeing the comments?
I haven't been seeing the comments.
Over to the right, you've got private chat and live comments up at the top right-hand corner of the StreamYard window. So you can click on live comments and you can see all of the comments.
Oh,
yeah.
Look at
that. Is that like such an enlightening experience?
Oh, cool. Click of a button. Just click of a button, right?
That's why you see my eyes going to the right all the time. My eyes are just like, oh,
I know, that's why I'm sitting here. Because I'm
probably,
sitting here looking and I click on them and I put up, especially the ones where people are edifying me. I mean, I have to make sure they're on the screen.
It's probably good I didn't see him because I just got to be here. I wasn't over there.
I know. It's hard to direct and be involved. It's challenging. But
you did a good job. You look like you were totally here all the time.
Oh, well, I was for the most part. So, yeah, this has been fantastic. It's really been great. If I may start out at the ending this thing, I want to say thank you to Glenn. Glenn, you've become what I consider a dear friend, and I got to hang out with you and your amazing, beautiful wife last night, training you on Zoom. That was fun. And Chris, it's been great getting to know you. Christy, you're incredible. Like I love, my friend Pam Aubrey is on here, and she's an EFT and Reiki expert. And she's tried to teach me some of the stuff, the tapping stuff. And I love what you're talking about. And this has been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun today. So I want to say thank you. And I will say that I'm going to just add on to what everybody else has already said. No matter what is going on up here in your head, you can change the conversations you're having with yourself. And that is what will change what's going on out here in your outer world. A friend of mine used to say to me when I would get into that projection mode of projecting hellfire and brimstone and the whole world's going to crumble, my world's going to explode, he would say, dude, turn your damn projector off. It's broken.
I love that.
Excellent advice.
Turn your projectors off. Get in the moment. Live in the now.
Ken, there is a comment. There is a comment in the private chat that you might want to highlight. If you see that.
Ken Walls is so
I'd
pretty.
like you to highlight that one for our audience.
I can't put it in the comments.
Oh, you can't. Okay.
No, I can't.
All right. Well, that's just for you to smile about.
Here last night, and Sherry's another awesome person as well. Thank you, Sherry, for that comment. Also,
well,
Yes.
we've certainly done what I set out to do today, and I thought about who would make for. I think one of the things we need to consider when we are designing a guest list, for example, it's nice to have an open mind. It's nice to welcome all people. However, when you're making a presentation of any kind, when you're having people over to the house, and we will get back to that, right? Those days are coming. When they do, think in terms of the desired outcome and base your invitations on that.
Yeah.
Meaning that if you could liken it to baking a cake or making a milkshake or a cocktail, what ingredients, when you combine them, produce a favorable outcome? That is part of designing an effective panel. To really think in terms, because you want to make sure when you're assembling a group that someone is not going to be bringing milk for the margarita that you're making, right? Or the vinegar for the ice cream sundae that you're serving up.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with milk, and there's nothing wrong with vinegar. Those are both beautiful ingredients, but you have to make sure that the things they're mixing with are things that are compatible with that. You guys have been such a compatible bunch of people in my heart, and you occupy a common space in me, and it's such a privilege to be able to introduce my relationship capital to each other. And I love that. And of course, Chris, you met Christy the same day that I did, and it's beautiful. And so, Ken, I only met you a week ago, and now we're adding to your list, your relationship capital, Christy, who is, well, you can see why I'm kind of crazy about her. She's an incredibly enlightened and illuminated human being. So we are going to call upon you again, my dear. So, so jalapeno potato chips, Joe said, needs to be at every party.
just not in your crotch.
My friend Charlie Bowden actually put Funyuns. He put Funyuns in for a reading and went into the room. And here's what he said.
Oh Lord.
I mean, this is insane. He put Funyuns in his britches. I have 2 full notebooks Carolyn has printed up of emails from me from others telling me, emailing me and telling me what their food choices were. So he went into a commercial audition with Funyuns, and when he went back down the hallway on the way out to the sign out sheet. So we have a sign in sheet, and then when you leave the meeting, you just put your name out and the time out. So he's writing on the out sheet when he looks down and notices that there is a line beginning at his pant leg that is going all the way up the hallway back to the room he was just in, of Funyuns on the floor.
Oh dear Lord.
And the casting director walked out and just tracked the trail right to Charlie as he was signing out. He just turned away and ran out the door. And he said to me, and I couldn't believe this, he said, dude, you didn't specify that I couldn't wear boxer shorts. Like, dude, it's gonna fall out of your boxers.
Wow.
So,
I love what Sandra just said. Quit watching the stock exchange and go build relationship capital.
Here.
Amen.
Amen.
Man, that is so important. So important.
I think
And it's in the category of controllables.
Yes,
You can
absolutely.
control that, you know.
Yes.
It's true. I want to build as I say my goodbyes. Obviously, I want to say thank you guys. I mean, just a fantastic panel, fantastic people here contributing on the live feed. It's just been tremendous. I mean, talk about taking a situation of uncertainty, speculation, all sorts of different things, and putting a spin on it to try to make it the best you could possibly make it, and perhaps even making it even better. I mean, I have learned to understand myself better through this time. I've learned to definitely incorporate different practices that help me process these things and help people that come to me. But what Glenn said earlier, we've been talking about it all week, the social distancing. I've termed it a little bit different. It's physical distancing, but it should be social connecting, actual connecting with people. And
Yes.
I'll give you a tip of what I've been doing. And this is something, it's so funny because there's a ton of us coaches out there and speakers and everything in this community. And I'm one of those people that likes to share all my different strategies of how I get people to connect and whatever. But literally on Facebook now, instead of typing a Facebook message, you can actually record your voice. And for those of us out there who know that body language is, most of our communication, 85% is body language and tonality of voice. So what a better way to connect with people that you've never met. I mean, I have thousands and thousands and thousands of people on social media that I've never met. But now what I'm doing is I'm taking this opportunity, instead of typing a message back, because I'm so blessed with people connecting with me this week. I mean, just like probably 20 new friend requests this week, and I'm reaching out to each one of them. And now instead of typing a message, I'm actually recording a message to them and having a conversation. We're not picking up the phone necessarily yet, but I'm just making those connections. I'm like, what a better time than now to truly connect with somebody versus just having that superficial connection over texting or whatever. So I encourage you guys out there in your social media land, just take a few minutes every day and just connect with somebody. I was connecting with somebody who's been a supporter of mine for years, never heard her voice, didn't really know who she was, but she sent me a voice message and it was so amazing to hear her voice. She sounds like this little lady from England. I'm not gonna say little old lady, but little lady from England. She's adorable. She has 3 cats. She sent me this message and we just been having this conversation back and forth. And she said, Chris, I feel included now. She's had a stroke. She's had a stroke. It's hard for her to type, but just me responding in voice connected with her, with this lady across the country I said, I want to give you a hug. And just us connecting that way is a way that we can get through this together, is a way that we can be in those moments instead of focusing on shit that we can't control. Go out there and connect with people and just have conversations, because through that, you're going to get through this and you're going to become stronger and you're going to realize that we're more alike than we are different. And I encourage you guys out there, I don't think that we have anybody watching it in this way, but if you are closed-minded, if you happen to be a little bit prejudiced, I invite you to open your mind and open your eyes and open your heart. Because like I've said before this week, when you split us all down the middle, no matter if you're black, white, gay, straight, tall, short, Republican, transgender, whatever label, like Glenn was talking about before, whatever stupid label you want to put on it, you split us all down the middle and we're all the same. We all have hearts, lungs. We all want the best for our family. We're all concerned. We're all going through times of uncertainty. I have my freak out moments too. And you just take it moment by moment and invest in those things. And for those of you guys who have kids, I mean, please just be with your kids. I mean, as soon as this is done, I'm going downstairs and playing with my 3-year-old. We're going to have fun, hang out with my wife and my mother-in-law and just enjoy each moment, watch a movie, laugh, make some food, just have good times. Bring out a board game. We were talking about bringing out a board game later on. This is a time for connection. And I just want to say thank you guys to everybody who's been out there in viewership and supporting us, and just the amazing people I've met this week. All of you guys, everybody here, Susan, Sherry, Pam, the list is phenomenal, and I'm just so blessed and so thankful. And if you guys are out there and you have a moment where you need somebody to talk to, it's not just us about doing these lives. Reach out to us. We're not those people that are going to say, get back to you. If you say, hey, can I have 5 minutes or 10 minutes? I'm having a freak out moment, or can I talk to you? I'm sure any one of us will be able to be there for you and try to help you and get you through this. And I encourage you, if you're a strong person too, do that for your community. Reach out. Don't use it as a sales strategy or any bullshit like that. Just say, hey, I want to help. I want to give. I want to give my gift. I'm starting this movement called Give Your Gift. And I've actually created a page on Facebook where you just give your gift, whatever it is. For me, it's inspiring people, speaking or coaching or doing stuff like this. I'm not good at baking. I'm not good at other things, but I'm good at this. So if you're good at baking or singing or whatever it is, give your gift. And that way you're just paying it forward, and we unite this world. We make it a better place. And hopefully we come out of this. Truly, this is my dream. This is my dream. This is no bullshit. That we figure out in all the different places in the world we are, that we start coming together. We stop listening to the news. We stop listening to the politicians. We stop listening to all that other crap, and we listen to each other. The world is so amazing. People are like, it's so negative out there. I'm like, that's what you're looking at.
Yeah.
Go and Google positive news today. Go Google how many people are paying for their staff to still stay working so they can get through this. Go look at all the amazing individuals who are out there are giving and volunteering and going shopping for people. It's truly an incredible time if you choose to be that way. So I just want to say that and say thank you so much for you guys being here and supporting us. And we'll get through this together. So thank you.
I so agree with what Jill just said. You rock, Chris.
Dude.
You so rock. And I want to tell you, you're right about
Thank
your
you.
concerns that there might be, you were saying if you were judgmental or whatever out there and watching. I will promise you there are plenty of judgmental people watching, because I made it a point to post this to both racism.com and prejudice.com. So
Wow, so did I.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
I love you, buddy. I love that you helped everyone today. And I even learned something powerful from Ken. Never a day goes by this week that I didn't pick up from Ken. And I actually wrote it down when you said it. I wrote, Glenn, add a flashlight to your search. He knows what I'm talking about.
Okay.
You remember when he said he couldn't find his own butt with both hands and a flashlight?
Yep.
I had not used a flashlight to this point in my search, but I'm going to add that. So Ken, brother, I can't thank you enough. That may have been the missing ingredient.
It might be. You'll be surprised.
Well, I'm going to say so long for now. God bless you all. And Christy, thank you, my friend.
Let her have a final word.
Oh, indeed.
Last, just to close up, one of the comments I wanted to make is knowing that we're all energy. We can never be disconnected. So the more we're tapping and we're raising our own vibration and our own feeling and sending that out, we're not only doing it for ourselves, but we're doing it for the planet. So, what I'd like you to do really quickly is just rub your hands together. Get them nice and warm. Imagine your hands are like a fire. And breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth and get your hands as warm as you can. Are they getting warm?
Oh, yeah.
Are they hot?
I'm getting there.
So I want you to take your hands. Let's get them a little warmer, a little bit warmer. This warm energy, we have healing energy in our body. So tapping into your healing energy, that warmth inside. Take this healing energy in your hands and I want you to put it right on your heart. And close your eyes and feel this warmth flow into your heart. Breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth, just that feeling, that warmth. Sending love into your heart, into every cell of your body. Breathing in through your nose, out through your mouth. Feeling that warmth. And I want you to think of somebody or something that you're grateful for. And I want you to allow that feeling along with this warmth and this love to flow through your heart. Feel it in your body, flowing all the way to your toes. And thinking of this person that you're grateful for, either this person or another person that might need it. Think of something else you can do in this week for that person that you're grateful for, or another person that might be in need. Take 2 more breaths in, feeling that. And when you're ready, open your eyes. And all I have to say is thank you for letting me join you today.
Thank you. Wow.
Namaste.
Way to end it. She just hit a grand slam on the way out of the park. Did you see that?
Don't you think?
Jeez, that was awesome, Christy. Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you to everyone who's watched, everyone who shared this out. You get extra good karma points. So well done. And if you didn't share this out, I don't know. Hey, you know what? I share as often as I can because it's about giving back to one another. It's about helping our fellow man and mankind and women. So thank you all. Appreciate you. Have an awesome day.
Happy Sunday, everybody.
Happy Sunday. Love you guys.
Bye, you guys.
Bye, guys.